So thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving us a little bit of your time this
My
afternoon.
pleasure, thank you.
So we just heard your final speech to the California Democratic Convention as a member of Congress. Yes. What was going through your mind as you stepped up to the podium today?
Love. I love these people. We've been friends for decades. I knew their parents, their grandparents, now them, and their children. As I said to friends, I know every new dog they have, every back operation anybody had. So we've all been in this a long time, and my own personal relationships, but shared commitment, work together to win for the people.
And so I did a little homework before we sat down, and I found this photo of you from 1984 here in the Moscone Center. And this is when you were chairing the committee for the DNC.
No, I was chair of the host committee for San Francisco. Yeah. Roz was doing for the DNC, and I was doing the host committee for San Francisco, and that's Chuck Manette, who is the chairman.
So what do you think when you look at that photo? I mean, could you have imagined the career you would have?
No, I hadn't even have any interest in it. You know, I mean, at the time, the story I tell about this is I was chair of the California Democratic Party, and then I was chair of the committee that did the delegate selection. It's called the Compliance Review Commission. They've changed the name since then, that oversaw the delegate selection. And then when they wanted to have the convention, they said you have to be the chair of the host committee, which raises the money for the city to host it, and then all the hospitality and the rest of that, and of course making sure everybody's happy about what goes on in the hall. And then I had 3 titles, chair of part, blah, blah, blah. So when the chair of the host committee came, the delegate selection, the convention selection committee came out. I was talking to Lindy Boggs, who was a member of Congress, and she said to me, how are you, darling, and all that, you know. And I said, well, I feel I have too many titles. I'm this, that, and that. And I think I should give one of them up because I have too much influence. She said, darling, no man would have ever said that. Know your power, use it, and don't give up any of your titles. So I took her, but that was at this exact time. Now, shortly thereafter, we won the convention. So this is a little bit after. And Chuck was the chair of the California Democratic Party, who then became the chair of the National Party. Roz was my dear friend from LA. I love her. She's like family. She calls herself my 6th child. Of course, she's older than I, but she calls herself my 6th child. And there we are. I'm just wondering what I had on that day. It's weird.
I mean, is it so special for this final convention for you, for the California Democratic Party, to be in your home city, to give
yes,
this speech?
Yeah. It is, and it's also to be in that hall where we did that convention, where Mario Cuomo made his incredible speech, heard around the world, where Jesse Jackson made his important speech, where a woman was nominated Vice President of the United States. That was so exciting. People will never know the thunderous response that received here. It's like the floor was going to shatter from the thumping and all the rest. It was so fabulous. We didn't win the election, but we won the convention in terms of a woman being nominated vice president, the first time in our history.
Right now, the Democrats in your party are, divided when it comes to who should be the next governor of California. That is going to be the marquee race that everyone's talking about this weekend. There's so many candidates in the fields. Do you think they should start to consolidate behind a single Democrat?
Well, I'll just tell you where I am on this. Many of them were asking for meetings at this convention. I said, unless I can meet with all of you, I can't meet with any of you. So I had a conversation with them all this week. I called them all and got their view of where they were in the race. And they all think they have a chance to win. So nobody, I think, is thinking about when they leave the race. We will win. Democrats in California come together. We will win. We need the top 2. If one's a Republican, that's almost easier for us because then the race is over. You understand? And it isn't anybody's role to tell people they shouldn't. I've never told anybody they shouldn't run. I can say what the consequences are, but I've never said don't run. Perhaps at some point after this convention and the close of filing in March, we'll see. We just got another candidate. Instead of the field narrowing, the mayor of San Jose got into the race. So people see their own path. They know their why. They know why they're running. And they see a path, and there we are. But somebody will. I think it will work itself out. Democrats will unify for success. There's no question. We will win.
So do you plan to endorse before the primary, or will you stay neutral until that
I'll see
election?
how it goes. I haven't even endorsed. I barely endorse. So we'll see.
Are you worried that two Republicans could advance to the November election if the field doesn't begin to narrow before that June primary?
No, I'm not worried about that. I think that the field, whether it narrows or not, one of the Democrats will be in the top two, and it will be a wonderful victory when we have a new Democratic governor. We're proud of our governor now, Gavin Newsom. He's wonderful. Sometimes in a race, more eloquent than anybody suggesting something is the lack of response of volunteers, of support, of financial support, and the rest that determines whether people make the run, whether they stay in or not, but whether they're competitive.
I have to ask, obviously, we're in your hometown. This is your swan song of sorts. Why did you decide that now was the time to step away from Congress?
I'm only in this time to win the House for the Democrats. That's it. This is my race. I mean, I have important policy that I want to advance. But with Trump there, we absolutely have to win. So if being in the Congress facilitates, really, or makes it easier, anyway, to be a force in this campaign. It's a mission that I have, that we will win the House. I know how to win elections. When we won in 2006, it was the first time the Democrats had won since 1992. When we won in 2018, we won 40 seats, 31 of them in Trump districts. So this is not a presidential where you have to win the whole country. This is very specific campaigns in specific races to get the majority, to win and make Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker of the House.
How many seats do you think Democrats can pick up in November?
Well, we only need a handful, but I would rather have at least 30, But it doesn't matter. I want to win more than we need because I think the Republicans will try to play a stunt and challenge if it's just a few seats. So it's good to have the insurance of having many more. That's the way I like it.
How do you envision this next year on the campaign trail trying to flip these seats? How involved will you be in fundraising for these candidates and traveling and campaigning for them in their districts?
That's my thought. When people ask me about the governor's race and they ask me about this and what comes next, I'm like, I'm just focused on one thing. I'm just focused on the House of Representatives, although I will support the senators who are candidates in certain races. I'm just support on the House, yes, to help recruit, but our chair, Susan Delbene, is fabulous, and I just follow her lead, and Hakeem Jeffries is going to be Speaker, there's no question. So it's about, and we'll see what happens in this race, because I've seen it happen so many times. All the candidates for president, and there are many, we have a great bench, they will be campaigning for the Congress people, showing around the country how they attract support, how they present the future for our party. So this is the presidential is the main. If we're in Las Vegas, the presidential is the main attraction. The House races are the lounge act, but you combine them with the candidates who are running for president, campaigning for the candidates running for Congress. It's a pretty exciting year.
So are you saying that you have a hand in making sure these candidates who are potentially considering a 2028 bid are getting out and stumping for House candidates?
I take my lead from Hakeem Jeffries and Susan Delbene. They're in charge of all this, but we work together.
So are the three of you kind of the Democratic war room or brain trust of getting?
No, there are many poor people. No, there are many poor people. Susan has her recruitment team. Hakeem has his message system where See, the message has to come from the members. It can't be from the top down. It has to come from the members. So he is orchestrating something so beautiful about how members come together with a unified message that is prioritized, that is repeated and eloquent and clear. And Susan is doing the political side. She's the quarterback there. And she has her team of recruitment and the rest. And so we all work together. But I'm out. I mean, I used to be speaker. I ran this forever. Now they are, and I respect that. And they're doing a great job.
So with your upcoming retirement, you obviously have a pretty big war chest. Are you going to be using that to help some of these House candidates?
Some of it. There's restrictions on what I can do. But there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not doing it. And I did a lot already, but I'll do more, yes.
There are some historians and political analysts who are sounding the alarm that if Democrats don't flip the House or the Senate, at least one chamber of Congress, that democracy is in serious danger. Is that a concern that you share?
It is a concern that I share, and I've shared it ever since what's-his-name emerged on the scene, however many years ago. That's why we won in 18, because we made the contrast. But I do think we will win. I think we'll win. We only have a few seats, 3 or 4 seats to win. I think it's only 3 really, but I'll say 4 to be generous. They'll try not to even seat those people. That's why I want to have more. And our democracy is at stake. What is a democracy? A democracy is free and fair elections, an independent judiciary, freedom of the press, due process, rule of law, all of that diminished under this president and the Republicans in Congress. As I said in my speech, he's declared himself king. He's abolished Congress. It's sad, and he has a rogue Senate. Now, they did a good decision the other day, but that's one among many that were horrible. And so, in any case, the way I say it, though, is democracy is saved at the kitchen table. Our fight is not to fight about some of these other things, but to bring home what people need. They need affordability. They need health care that is affordable. They need job creation. They need the education of their children. They need all kinds of things that relate to their lives at the kitchen table. That's how people vote. And people vote about the future. We can say we did all these good things. That is only to brag about our capability. But not why you should vote for us, but to trust that we can do better and more in the future. So I think that Hakeem has led the way very beautifully in terms of members knowing what their role is as we go forward.
So do Democrats need to focus more, as you said, on those kitchen table issues rather than fighting against President Trump on the campaign trail or bringing up democracy issues on the campaign trail?
No, I think that we have to make the contrast. I mean, this is something so different. I've been in politics a long time, as you know, and we've had Democratic presidents, Republican presidents, and it's never been a fight for our democracy. They've all been patriots until now. We have to win this race. And so we have to make a distinction, but we can't just dwell on him. We have to talk about what we will do for affordability and for really patriotism in a country, for freedom and all the rest. But the affordability issue, healthcare. I always say it's about the children. For me, it's always about the children. Their health, their education, the economic security of their families, a healthy, safe environment in which they can thrive, including thriving gun violence, and a world at peace in which they can reach their fulfillment. It's about the American dream. That's not what this is. I mean, this is a man who's taken health care away from families, which is a health issue, but it's also a financial issue to give tax breaks to the wealthiest people in America who don't need that much more money, right, or any more money. So we have to make that contrast, but we have to talk about the people, their needs, our proposals for how we go forward. Win at the kitchen table, save our democracy.
Is this the highest stakes race you've ever run?
Well, we always thought they were. You know, I thought in '06, when Harry Reid and I won the House and Senate together, we hadn't won since 1992. Since 1992. We had to get back in there and win the election. We were fighting the war in Iraq. You know, there are all kinds of reasons why that seemed fine. But as I said in my speech, and others are saying, while you may have heard this before, this is the most consequential election of our time because of the accumulation of horror that is there in terms of our freedom. That's why I said in my speech that our flag is still there. See through the night, this is the night, that our flag is still there with liberty and justice for all, honoring that Constitution. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. It's all there. Honor the vision of our founders, the sacrifice of our men and women in uniform, and the aspirations of our children.
So when it comes to Democrats and the future of the party that you're going to leave behind, the party is polling deeply unpopular even with its own members. The party itself is polling deeply unpopular.
Parties always poll. That doesn't bother me.
How do you reverse that perception, though, among voters that feel neither party represents them right now, that those kitchen table issues that you mentioned are being lost in Washington?
Well, let me just say this. When you're not in power, you get very little press. So all the things that you're doing are not out there. You know, Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. With it, you can do almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. But for public sentiment to prevail, people have to know. And that's why we have to spend some time in our speeches making the contrast. Do I like talking about him? It's sinful to me what he's doing. But we have to make sure people know what is at stake in the election. But when we win, and Hakeem is Speaker, and Catherine and Pete and all the rest of them, they will be able to see the difference, and I think you'll see a reverse in that. Congress has never been popular. It's always been mocked, but everybody loves their congressperson. Not everybody, but most people love their congressperson. So you see it's a contradiction. But I have every confidence that when we win, it'll be the path to winning the White House. And when we have a Democratic president, to have the clarity of putting forth the message, I think you will see that change. I don't see it's a path down. I see it's a path up.
Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer can't seem to catch a break, though, with Democrats. Some say that they're not aggressive enough, that they should be pushing back harder against this administration. Republicans are saying they're too liberal. How do you think they are doing in this fight against this administration and trying to win back voters as we approach those
Well,
voters?
I think that, I know the House better. And Chuck I served with for decades in the House before he came. And the people expect Hakeem and Chuck to be running a presidential campaign, a message for America. That's for the president. This is for his districts. Now, you don't change your message, but you prioritize. And you prioritize in a way that wins that seat. And once you win that seat, you have the audience. And that's when you can show the difference in a stronger way. So I have every confidence. Now, again, I really just talk about what I know. And what I know is the House. And I know that when we won the House in '06, we won so big that they won the Senate. And they can maybe win on their own now, too. But we certainly know that our races will help them win. Because we have races in all these states, but they have races, too. We have a race in New Hampshire. We have a race in Michigan. We have races all over the country. And some of them are in races that they want to win for Senate. Not all the senators are up, as you know.
What do you think the legacy of the party you leave behind is? What do you think the direction of the party is moving forward?
It's not my legacy. As I say, it's the legacy of the grassroots. It's the legacy of the members of Congress. But I think what I see in it, and I see in the members, is a legacy of goodness, of kindness, of having a Democratic Party that speaks for the people, and that has a legacy, again, that honors the vision of our founders. Security is really important, but how we attain security and protect our flag, and again, protect the people who will fight. You know, people can't fight in war if they don't have food to eat, and they don't have health care, and they're not educated, and their families are not secure enough to give them all of that. So it's all connected. So I would say that what our founders said, liberty and justice for all, that's our legacy, for all. That's our legacy. That the flag is still there, with liberty and justice for all, that's our legacy. But my legacy has been Kitchen Table, the Affordable Care Act, which is about health care, but it was also about financial security for families, because health is a financial issue as well as a health issue. So I would hope that that as we go forward, it would be in a spirit of goodness, kindness, respect for the dignity and worth of every person, that the Democrats care about people. And it's not here to enrich the rich at the expense of not only the poor but the middle class, but we're there for the people. And it is, I mean, that's who we are. We are a big tent, a diverse party for working families, Now, with other people want to support us, we like that, but our agenda is for working families. So throughout my life in terms of politics, it's about the people, about working families in our country, how we convey to them that we're here for them and that we listen to them. I think as we go forward, we have some challenges in terms of AI and technology, and we have to listen to young people as to how they see it all go forward, and we have to listen to women as to how they see it, and our working families. So it's just about the fundamentals of who we are as a country. It's a beautiful, wonderful country. We would not be the great democracy we have been were it not for the goodness of the American people. So I hope that the legacy, not the legacy, but as we go forward with the Democratic Party, it's with respect for the goodness of the American people. I wear these bracelets, and I say with these bracelets, if you believe, if you have faith in the goodness of the American people, love, charity, if you believe in the goodness of the American people, you give them hope. And hope is our resistance. And resistance is our hope. That's what our country is about. So it's about, for goodness sake, God bless America.
Is President Trump's second term what you expected it to be?
Is his second term what I expected it to be? It's worse than anything. It's not just about his second term and what that is. It's about the Congress of the United States abolishing itself and just yielding to him on every score, and passing a bill they call beautiful, which is ugly, that takes health care away from millions of people, both whether it's cutting Medicaid by $500 billion or cutting Medicaid, just almost practically trying to throw it in the deep blue sea. So the combination of Trump and the Republicans is something that their first year has been a sinful disgrace. And you would think that the Republicans in Congress would hold a check on some of that. So the policies of him and them are worse than anyone would expect.
Is it worse than you expected?
I thought that there might be some decency in the Congress of the United States. I thought there might be some decency in the Supreme Court. For this Supreme Court to give total amnesty, just amnesty to this president, that whatever he did, it was okay, is so contrary to the fundamentals of our country. So yeah, all of them, all three houses, the president, the Republicans in Congress, and the Supreme Court, a disgrace, not living up to the oath of office, that we take to protect and defend the Constitution, disloyal to the, I said it again, the vision of our founders.
I mean, yesterday the Supreme Court handed him a pretty big blow to his economic agenda.
That was one.
And he's leveled some personal attacks at those justices as a result. I mean, you've been on the receiving end of those. Are you surprised that he took such an attack on justices that he put on the bench himself?
I'm never surprised at anything he does. He's the lowest of the low. It's like he's doing a limbo contest with himself. You think you'd appreciate them giving total amnesty to him and the rest, but because they honored the Constitution and the law that says the power to tariff belongs in the Constitution, in the Congress, he's against them. But no, nothing surprises me about him.
The president announced today that he's going to issue a 15% tariff now in response to that. Are you talking to your fellow Democrats about how they plan to challenge that? Again, being in the minority, I know there's little Congress can do, but what's
this
the
is a different law. Actually, if he had done this first, he would have had a short period of time in which to enact it. It could be enacted, but it still would have to go out. So no, I mean, the point is, the law does allow him to have a power for about 150 days, I think it is, for this other version. But then it expires, and that's still this year. So, but I want to tell you, our plan on all of this, under the leadership of Hakeem Jeffries, is about legislation. We won. 7 Republicans voted with us last week. We won in the House on the Canadian tariffs. Legislation, litigation. We've been taking him to court every step of the way. And then you see in this one, he lost again. And communication. The people have to know. As I said, Lincoln said, sentiment prevails, but people have to know. And that's what is happening now. So, and will continue to happen in a stronger way. But he does have an opportunity for that. Our case with that is not whether he does or not, is what it does to the kitchen table of the American people, cost to them because of what he's doing with these tariffs. So that's our fight. That's our fight. And if he insists on doing that, we take that message to the American people, that their cost of living, their affordability is affected by his obstinance when it comes to tariffs. And not only that, but just the animosity he's carrying with these nations. Canada, for example, well, we won that vote in the House. But Canada, for example, think if you lived along the Canadian border and you had a shop, a coffee shop, a factory, or anything else where you had exchange with Canada. It's all over for the Americans who live there. He's paying a price for that, and he will pay a price for this 15% as well. So this is about taking it, again, to the kitchen table. Every issue you name, if you want to talk about rule of law and freedom and all that, that's it. But take it to the kitchen table. What does this mean to you at the kitchen table?
He also has seemingly given Iran a ultimatum, and he's saying over the next several days he's going to consider strikes. Would a strike in Iran be justified?
The fact that the president wants to do that without coming to Congress and having the debate, even as much as I opposed the war in Iraq under President Bush, he came to Congress and he had a vote. I didn't agree with the vote. Democrats overwhelmingly in the House voted against it, but he came to Congress. This, what the president's doing, let's just say this about as I see this, what I'm thinking. When we had the Iraq war and it was over, if it's ever going to be over, it caused sustainable damage to the region, to our reputation until now. So what he goes in there and does is not just the fight about whether he has the authority to do it. It's about the sustainable horror that will be in the Middle East. Other people will join the fight. All kinds of terrible things happened after Iraq that are still sustained because we should not have gone in. It was wrong, and that's a whole, it's in my book if you want to know how It's in my book, and I think people paid a big price for that. And he will pay a big price for this. He tries to say he cares about the human rights in Iran. He's really going in because of nuclear power. Let's all agree, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We had a system for that under President Obama. It was an agreement on nuclear weapons and what nuclear production. He turned that around and said instead of agreeing on a diplomatic virtuoso performance of getting China and Russia to agree to this and have the scientific knowledge of Secretary Munoz to show the Iranians that we know what's going on, we can tell. Instead of accepting that, he turned that around, and now he wants to bomb Iran. So his whole agenda is one that is not worthy of any Nobel Peace Prize.
When you leave Congress, he will still be president. How involved do you plan to remain in party politics and pushing back against this administration?
Well, I have plans, and I also, we'll have to win the White House, and there'll be a primary election for all of that. I won't have the role that I have as Speaker of the House. The Speaker is the second highest position. The President, then you have the Vice President, which is what that is, and then the Speaker has power. The Speaker is the only congressional position that is named in the Constitution of the United States. So while I won't have power, I will have influence, and it's really important that we win the House and the Senate and White House. We'll win it all next time, that's for sure. But again, it'll be a question of who it is. We have our own governor who may run. I don't know. He hasn't asked me for his support. If he did, he's my friend. But I have great respect for all the other candidates. I've had most of them here in California for events and the rest, and they've all been spectacular.
I mean, some people have said that you're already putting your finger on the scale for Newsom in 2028. There's been some reporting. Are you refuting that? He hasn't asked for any support?
He hasn't asked, so I assume he's running. I don't know. We'll see. But I have more general ways to participate. Like I want to spend a lot of time on the increased participation of women in the electoral process. There is nothing, in my view, more wholesome than that. I want to spend more time with young people in the process, not just in elections, but also in the policy of it all. So that's how I'll be spending my time, and that has a reflection on elections as well.
So leaving office, but not leaving politics behind.
Well, once you're in the arena, you're always in the arena. That's the way it is.
Thank you so much, Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi.
Pleasure.
So nice to see you again.
Wonderful to see you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage. And click the subscribe button here. You can also download our app and watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.